In this powerful motivational speech, Ray Lewis dives deep into the art of mastering the mental game and the discipline required to train your willpower. Success isn't just about talent. It's about mindset, resilience, and the inner strength to push forward when challenges seem overwhelming. Ray Lewis shares raw truths about mental toughness, personal growth, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. This message is designed to ignite your inner fire, sharpen your focus, and help you take control of your life by mastering the most important battlefield, your mind. The mind is the strongest muscle you must train daily. And when you think about what separates those who reach the highest levels of success from those who fall short, it almost always comes down to their ability to master their mental state. Physical strength can carry you for a while, talent can open doors, and opportunities can show up unexpectedly. But if your mind is not trained, if your thoughts are not disciplined, everything else collapses under pressure. Think about athletes, soldiers, entrepreneurs, leaders, and even everyday people who have achieved remarkable things in their own lives. Every single one of them has had to train their mind as relentlessly as they train their body. The mind is not passive. It is a battlefield, and without proper conditioning, it becomes weak, distracted, and vulnerable to every obstacle that comes its way. But when you treat your mind like a muscle, something that needs daily exercise, discipline, and challenge, you begin to unlock a new level of power within yourself that can carry you through anything. Training the mind starts with awareness. Most people allow their thoughts to run wild without ever stopping to examine them. Negative thoughts, self-doubt, fear, procrastination, all of these become patterns if they go unchecked. When you begin to train your mind, the first step is to catch those thoughts and decide whether they belong in your mental space. Just like you wouldn't fill your body with junk food if you wanted to perform at your peak, you cannot feed your mind with negativity and expect it to carry you toward greatness. You need to intentionally choose what you allow to take root in your head. That means reading things that inspire you, listening to voices that challenge you, surrounding yourself with people who demand more of you, and cutting off the constant noise that weakens your focus. Mental training requires you to become selective because every thought is either strengthening or weakening your mindset. Once you begin to take control of what enters your mind, the next step is to deliberately challenge it, just like lifting weights tears the muscle fibers so they can grow stronger. Pushing your mind through discomfort builds resilience and power. Too many people live inside the cage of comfort, avoiding anything that feels mentally demanding. They give up on difficult books. They avoid tough conversations. They back away from challenges because they feel overwhelming. But the very things that seem hard are the ones that force your mental muscle to expand. You grow stronger every time you push through something that felt impossible yesterday. When you stay committed to this process, your threshold for stress, pain, and difficulty rises, and suddenly, things that used to intimidate you become effortless. Training the mind also means practicing consistency. Just like you can't work out once and expect to be fit for life, you can't meditate once, visualize once, or speak affirmations once and expect lasting change. Mental strength is built in the everyday grind, in the repetition of small habits that shape how you think and respond. It's about waking up early to focus, even when you don't feel like it. It's about practicing gratitude when your mind wants to dwell on problems. It's about forcing yourself to stay calm in chaos instead of panicking. These daily reps are what condition the mind to stay sharp, stable, and unstoppable when bigger challenges arrive. People who win in life aren't the ones who only show up when conditions are perfect. They're the ones who train themselves to show up no matter what. Another part of mental training is embracing failure as a tool instead of a threat. Most people run from failure because they fear what it says about them. They fear judgment, embarrassment, and the pain of not measuring up. But when you train your mind, you begin to reframe failure as feedback, as part of the process that makes you unshakable. You stop seeing it as an end and start seeing it as a stepping stone. This shift doesn't happen automatically. It comes from repeatedly telling yourself that setbacks are opportunities to learn and grow. Over time, your mind becomes conditioned to respond with determination instead of despair. That is the true mark of a trained mind, when it refuses to collapse in the face of adversity and instead becomes sharper and stronger because of it. Mental training also demands self-discipline, because the mind naturally seeks the path of least resistance. If left untrained, it will always choose what's comfortable, what's easy, what's safe. Discipline is the practice of telling your mind where to go instead of letting it wander aimlessly. It's waking up earlier than your excuses, staying locked in on your priorities instead of distractions, and refusing to negotiate with laziness. Just like an athlete drills the fundamentals until they are automatic, you must train your mind to obey your highest standards instead of your moods. This is how you build mental toughness. The ability to act based on commitment, not emotion. Visualization and self-talk are also crucial parts of mental training. The way you speak to yourself sets the tone for how your mind responds to challenges. If you constantly tell yourself you're weak, unprepared, or unworthy, your mind will accept that script and act it out. But if you train your self-talk to be powerful, intentional, and focused on solutions, your mind becomes a weapon that propels you forward. Visualization works the same way. When you consistently picture yourself succeeding, enduring, and overcoming, your mind begins to believe it's possible. That belief fuels confidence, and confidence fuels action. This is not just theory, it's the practice, training your subconscious to align with your goals. To train the mind effectively, you also have to protect it. That means controlling your environment and eliminating toxic influences that drain your energy. Every scroll through negativity on social media, every hour wasted on meaningless entertainment, every conversation with someone who pulls you down instead of lifting you up, it all chips away at your mental strength. Protecting your mind is about valuing it enough to shield it from poison. When you realize your mind is the powerful muscle you have, you stop wasting it on things that don't serve your growth. You start building boundaries, not because you're arrogant, but because you understand the cost of exposure to the wrong influences. Lastly, training your mind requires patience and humility. Just like building physical strength takes months and years of consistent work, mental strength doesn't develop overnight. Too many people quit because they don't see immediate results. But the truth is, the real transformation is happening beneath the surface, in the rewiring of your thoughts, in the sharpening of your focus, in the way you bounce back from stress a little faster than you did before. Every day you commit to mental training, you're adding another layer of resilience to your character. Over time, that invisible work compounds into unshakable strength, and when others crumble under pressure, you stand tall because your mind has been conditioned to endure. Willpower grows through discipline, not convenience. And the sooner you understand that truth, the sooner you begin to unlock the kind of strength that separates ordinary from extraordinary. Convenience is the enemy of growth because it lulls you into believing that the easy path will take you somewhere worth going. But every person who has ever achieved greatness knows that nothing meaningful is built when you only act in moments of comfort. Discipline, on the other hand, is the structure, the framework, the unshakable force that molds your actions, regardless of how you feel in the moment. Discipline tells you to get up when your body says stay in bed, to keep pushing when your mind says quit, to choose what is right over what is easy. It is the constant sharpening of your willpower, the act of strengthening it little by little until it becomes unbreakable. When you rely on convenience, You only do the work when conditions are favorable. You go to the gym only if the weather is nice. You study only if you feel inspired. You pursue your goals only if motivation happens to show up. That kind of approach leaves you powerless because the moment circumstances change, your commitment disappears. Willpower built on convenience collapses at the first sign of resistance because it has no roots, no foundation, no resilience. But when you build your willpower on discipline, it no longer depends on external conditions. Discipline is internal. It is the voice inside that reminds you of the promise you made to yourself long after the mood has faded. This is why the most powerful individuals, whether in sports, business, or life, are not the ones who had the easiest journey, but the ones who trained themselves to keep going even when everything around them was screaming to stop. Discipline is like a muscle, and every act of consistency makes it stronger. Each time you wake up early when you wanted to sleep in, each time you finish the task even though you're tired, each time you resist the temptation to quit, you are adding weight to your mental workout. Your willpower grows incrementally, not in giant leaps. Too many people wait for some massive surge of motivation, thinking that one day they'll wake up ready to conquer it all. But the truth is that willpower is forged in the small, repetitive acts that no one else sees. It's in showing up day after day, doing the things you said you would do until those actions become automatic. When you practice this level of discipline, your willpower no longer wavers because it has been trained to operate independent of convenience. The danger of convenience is that it creates a fragile mindset. It tricks you into believing that progress should feel good, that success should be comfortable, that growth should be easy. But every time you take the easy option, you rob yourself of the chance to get stronger. If you always choose convenience, you'll never know how much power you actually have because your willpower will never be tested. Force you to step outside of that comfort zone, to lean into discomfort, to endure the things that most people run from. That's where willpower grows. When you're exhausted, but you still take one more step. When you're discouraged, but you still keep pushing. When you feel like you've reached your limit, but you discover there's more inside you. Those moments of pressure are the training ground of the will. Discipline is also the anchor that keeps you aligned with your values and long-term vision. Convenience is short-sighted. It only cares about immediate comfort. It whispers, skip today, it won't matter, or take the shortcut. Nobody will know. But discipline has a longer perspective. It asks, who are you becoming if you make this choice? Discipline reminds you that your actions today are building your future self, brick by brick, habit by habit. Willpower doesn't grow when you compromise for temporary ease. It grows when you prove to yourself that your word means something, that your commitment is real, that your standards are not up for negotiation. The pride and confidence that come from following through, even when it's hard, fuel a deeper well of willpower than convenience ever could. Another truth about discipline is that it thrives on structure. Convenience is chaotic because it depends on moods, emotions, and outside conditions. But discipline organizes your life around routines and systems that remove the need for constant decision making. When you discipline yourself to plan your day, to set boundaries, to establish non-negotiable habits, you are programming your willpower to grow steadily instead of sporadically. For example, if you decide that every morning you will train at the same time, it ceases to be a question of, do I feel like it today? It becomes automatic, part of your identity. This is where real strength comes from, not from fleeting bursts of effort, but from disciplined consistency that builds willpower layer upon layer. Convenience feeds procrastination, while discipline kills it. When you live by convenience, you're always waiting for the right time. You delay starting until you feel inspired, until conditions improve, until life gets easier. But the right time, never comes, and you waste precious years waiting for circumstances that will never align perfectly. Discipline teaches you to act now, regardless of conditions. It forces you to confront the task in front of you, not the imaginary one in your head. Every time you act without waiting for convenience, your willpower strengthens because you are teaching your mind that progress is non-negotiable. Discipline removes the illusion of perfect timing and replaces it with relentless execution. Willpower built through discipline also creates confidence. When you know you can rely on yourself to do what needs to be done, no matter the conditions, you walk with a different level of certainty. Confidence doesn't come from convenience. It comes from the track record of discipline. Every small victory, every day you follow through, every temptation you resist adds another layer of belief in yourself. That belief becomes an unstoppable force when challenges come, because you've proven to yourself again and again that you can endure. Willpower becomes less about will in the moment and more about identity. You don't just try to be disciplined, you are disciplined, and therefore your actions follow naturally. Discipline also sharpens focus, while convenience scatters it. Convenience pulls your attention in 100 directions, making you reactive to every distraction, every impulse, every easy escape. Discipline narrows your vision, training you to lock in on what matters most and ignore what doesn't. The more disciplined you become, the stronger your willpower grows, because your energy is no longer wasted on trivial things. You are able to channel all of your effort into the tasks that bring real results. Willpower is not about trying harder for 1,000 different things. It is about disciplining yourself to focus deeply on the few things that truly matter. Over time, the discipline you practice compounds. Each day you choose discipline over convenience, you are depositing into the account of your willpower. At first, those deposits may seem small, almost insignificant. But just like money invested steadily grows into wealth, discipline invested daily grows into unshakable willpower. One day you wake up and realize that what used to break you no longer phases you. What used to tempt you no longer controls you. What used to overwhelm you now feels like routine. That transformation didn't happen overnight. It happened because discipline was applied day after day, long after convenience lost its grip on you. Pain and struggle are the gateways to resilience. And the truth is that without them, you will never develop the kind of strength required to endure life's greatest challenges. Human beings are wired to seek comfort, to avoid hardship, to run from discomfort whenever possible. But the paradox is that the very experiences we try so hard to avoid are the ones that give us the power to rise above limitations. Pain is not just an obstacle. It is a teacher, and struggle is not just a burden. It is the training ground where resilience is forged. If you look at anyone who has achieved greatness, whether it's in sports, business, art, leadership, or personal growth, you'll see that their defining strength was not built during easy times. It was carved out of moments of suffering, pressure, loss, and relentless struggle. What makes them different is not that they avoided pain, but that they leaned into it, endured it, and allowed it to transform them into something stronger. Pain strips away illusions and forces you to confront reality. When life hurts, when things break, when nothing goes the way you planned, you are faced with a choice. You can collapse under the weight of suffering, or you can rise because of it. Pain reveals what you are made of in ways comfort never could. It strips away the false belief that success is supposed to be smooth, that progress is supposed to be easy, that growth comes without sacrifice. When you're in pain, you learn how to dig deeper than you thought possible. You discover reserves of strength you didn't know existed. Pain pushes you beyond surface level commitment and demands that you tap into something far greater within yourself. That is why so many breakthroughs in life happen right after the hardest battles, because it is in the darkness of struggle that the light of resilience is born. Struggle is the process of resistance, and resistance is essential for growth. Just as muscles cannot grow without resistance, your character cannot develop without struggle. Every challenge you face is like weight added to the bar, and each time you push against it, you get stronger. The more you resist quitting, the more you resist giving in to fear, the more you resist the urge to surrender, the more resilient you become. Without struggle, there is no need for resilience. And without resilience, there is no capacity to withstand life's storms. Struggle is not a punishment. It is preparation. It is life's way of sharpening you, toughening you, molding you into someone capable of carrying heavier loads and reaching higher levels of achievement. Resilience is built when you choose to keep moving forward in the face of pain. Most people want to skip the struggle, but skipping the struggle means skipping the strength that comes with it. Think about the athlete who pushes through grueling training sessions, the student who studies deep into the night, the entrepreneur who faces rejection after rejection before finally breaking through. None of them would have developed the resilience they needed without those battles. Each painful repetition, each long hour, each setback was building the mental toughness they would later rely on when the stakes were even higher. Pain and struggle aren't just hurdles to get past. They are the tools life uses to carve resilience into your soul. There is a dangerous illusion in our world today, a belief that life should be painless and easy, that success should come quickly, that growth should be instant. This mindset weakens people because it teaches them to run from struggle instead of embracing it. The truth is that every great achievement has a price, and that price is often paid in discomfort, sacrifice, and suffering. The ones who rise are not the ones who avoid pain, but the ones who accept it as part of the journey. They understand that every struggle has a purpose, even if they cannot see it in the moment. They trust that the pain is shaping them into someone who can carry the weight of their destiny. Pain also teaches humility. When everything is going well, it's easy to think you're in control, that you don't need help, that you have it all figured out. But pain reminds you that you are human, that you have limits, that you cannot do everything on your own. Struggle humbles you, but that humility becomes the foundation for resilience. When you've been knocked down and had to get back up, you carry a strength that arrogance can never give you. You learn to respect the process, to respect the grind, to respect the sacrifices required. Humility and resilience go hand in hand because resilience is not just about toughness. It's about learning, adapting, and becoming stronger through the lessons pain teaches you. Another gift of pain is perspective. Struggle makes you appreciate victories more deeply because you know what it costs to achieve them. When you've suffered, when you've endured, when you've pushed through sleepless nights and endless setbacks, success tastes different. You no longer take it for granted because you know the price you paid to get there. Pain has a way of sharpening your gratitude, of teaching you to value every small step forward. People who avoid struggle never understand this because they've never had to fight for something with everything inside of them. Resilient people know that every scar carries a story, and every story carries wisdom that can never be taken away. Pain also builds empathy. When you've gone through struggle yourself, you are better equipped to understand others who are struggling. Resilience doesn't just make you strong for your own battles. It equips you to help others fight theirs. Leaders who have endured pain are often the most compassionate because they know what it feels like to be broken and to rise again. They don't dismiss struggle. They honor it because they know it is part of the path to greatness. Your resilience becomes a source of strength, not only for you, but for those who look to you for guidance, inspiration, and hope. Struggle also creates clarity about what truly matters. When you're in pain, distractions fade away and your priorities become sharper. You begin to see which goals are worth fighting for and which ones are just noise. You begin to recognize who is truly there for you and who is only around when it's convenient. Pain has a way of cutting through illusions and forcing you to focus on what is real. This clarity makes you resilient because once you know what truly matters, you stop wasting energy on things that don't. You channel all of your strength into the battles that define you, and in doing so, you become unstoppable. The process of building resilience through pain and struggle also rewires your relationship with fear. At first, pain feels like something to run from. Fear feels like something to avoid. Struggle feels like a sign of weakness. But as you go through more battles, as you survive more storms, you begin to realize that fear and pain lose their power over you when you face them head on. Each time you endure, each time you push through, each time you rise after falling, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than the pain. Eventually, fear no longer paralyzes you because you've trained yourself to see it as a signal that growth is near. Struggle becomes less of an enemy and more of an ally because you know it is making you unshakable. Resilience is not built in a single moment. It is layered over time, with each painful experience adding another brick to the fortress of your character. That fortress doesn't mean you will never feel pain again. It means you are prepared to withstand it when it comes. Pain will still hurt, struggle will still challenge you, but resilience allows you to bend without breaking, to keep going when others give up, to endure what would crush someone less prepared. Every storm you survive makes you more resilient for the next one, and every struggle you conquer becomes proof that you can face whatever comes next. Mastering the mental game is the key to lasting success because everything you achieve on the outside is first created and sustained on the inside. Your body can only go as far as your mind allows it. Your actions can only stay consistent if your mindset is steady, and your achievements can only last if your inner foundation is unshakable. People often chase strategies, shortcuts, and techniques, believing that external tools will guarantee them success. But the truth is that without mastery of the mental game, none of those tools will hold. The strongest body will collapse under weak thoughts. The most talented individual will fall apart if they cannot control their emotions. And the most brilliant plan will fail if the mind executing it is undisciplined. Mental mastery is not optional. It is the root system that allows success to grow tall, endure storms, and remain unmovable when challenges press in from every direction. The mental game begins with belief. Before any action can be taken, before any result can be achieved, you must convince yourself that it is possible. Belief is the seed from which everything grows. Without belief, discipline falters, motivation fades, and effort feels meaningless. But with belief, you can endure failure after failure without losing sight of the goal. Mastering the mental game means training yourself to hold on to a belief even when evidence is scarce, because lasting success is built on the foundation of inner conviction. It is easy to believe when things are going well, but true mastery is believing in yourself, in your vision, and in your path when there are no signs of progress. That kind of belief sustains you long enough for results to eventually appear. And when they do, the belief becomes even stronger. Focus is another pillar of the mental game. The world is full of distractions, each one designed to steal your attention and scatter your energy. Success requires sustained focus, the ability to lock in on a goal and tune out everything that doesn't align with it. Mastering the mental game means refusing to be pulled in 1,000 directions. It means having the clarity to know what matters most in the discipline to protect your focus at all costs. Every time you choose to concentrate deeply on one task instead of chasing distractions, you are sharpening your mental edge. Over time, that focus compounds into mastery because while others are busy being busy, you are moving with precision towards your purpose. Mental mastery also requires emotional control. Lasting success isn't just about what you do when you're motivated. It's about how you act when emotions run high, when pressure mounts, when doubt creeps in, and when fear whispers in your ear. A person who cannot control their emotions will always be at the mercy of circumstances. One setback sends them spiraling. One criticism breaks their confidence. One failure convinces them to quit. But when you master the mental game, you learn to regulate your emotions instead of being ruled by them. You feel fear but act anyway. You feel doubt but stay committed. You feel stress but remain composed. This control doesn't mean suppressing emotions. It means channeling them in a way that fuels your mission instead of derailing it. That ability to stay grounded in the middle of chaos is what allows you to pursue success for the long haul without burning out or giving up. Another key part of mastering the mental game is resilience. Success is rarely a straight line. It is a path filled with setbacks, obstacles, failures, and disappointments. Most people quit not because they lack talent, but because they lack the mental endurance to keep going when progress is slow. Resilience is what keeps you standing when others collapse. It is what allows you to see failure not as the end, but as feedback, as part of the process. Mastering the mental game means conditioning your mind to expect struggle, to embrace it, and to use it as fuel for growth. When you build resilience, you stop being surprised by difficulties. Instead, you see them as tests you were made to pass. That perspective shifts everything because it prevents you from wasting energy on self-pity and directs all of your effort toward moving forward. Visualization and mental rehearsal are also part of the mental game. The mind cannot distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and real ones, which means that every time you visualize success, you are strengthening the neural pathways associated with it. Athletes use this technique to see themselves performing at their best. Entrepreneurs use it to see themselves closing deals. Leaders use it to see themselves guiding teams effectively. Visualization is not wishful thinking. It is mental conditioning, a rehearsal that prepares your mind for the moment when the opportunity arrives. Mastery comes when you no longer just dream about success, but train your mind to expect it, to see it as inevitable, because you've rehearsed it so many times in your head. Self-talk is another crucial aspect of the mental game. The voice in your head is either your greatest ally or your biggest enemy. If your self-talk is full of doubt, fear, and negativity, no amount of talent will compensate. But if your inner dialogue is powerful, encouraging, and disciplined, your actions will follow that script. Mastering the mental game means rewriting the way you speak to yourself. It means replacing "I can't" with "I will," replacing "this is too hard" with "this is making me stronger," replacing "I'm not ready" with "I'll grow as I go." That shift in self-talk doesn't just boost confidence in the moment. It rewires your subconscious to align with your goals. Over time, your mind begins to default to strength instead of weakness, to courage instead of fear, to perseverance instead of surrender. Discipline ties all of this together. Without discipline, belief fades, focus scatters, emotions run wild, resilience weakens, and self-talk becomes empty. Discipline is the daily practice of aligning your actions with your highest standards, regardless of convenience. Mastering the mental game means creating habits that reinforce strength instead of weakness, habits that make success automatic instead of accidental. It is the repetition of these habits day after day that builds momentum. Each disciplined action is like a brick laid in the foundation of lasting success. One brick may not seem like much, but when you lay enough of them, you build something that can withstand any storm. Patience is also essential for mastering the mental game. In a world obsessed with instant gratification, the ability to delay reward is one of the most powerful mental tools you can possess. Lasting success takes time, and the journey will test your ability to stay committed when results are not immediate. Impatience destroys progress because it convinces you to quit too soon. But patience allows you to endure long enough for success to manifest. Mental mastery is the ability to stay locked in on your vision while working tirelessly through the process, trusting that every step is bringing you closer. Even if you can't see the results yet, that kind of patience is rare, but it is what separates those who succeed once from those who build success that lasts a lifetime. Adaptability is another hallmark of mental mastery. Success rarely goes exactly as planned. Circumstances change, obstacles appear, and strategies that once worked may suddenly fail. If your mind is rigid, you will break under the pressure of change. But if you have trained yourself to adapt, to pivot, to adjust without losing sight of your ultimate goal, you will always find a way forward. Adaptability doesn't mean abandoning your vision. It means being flexible in how you pursue it. When you master this part of the mental game, setbacks no longer discourage you. They simply challenge you to find another path. This adaptability ensures that your success is not temporary, because no matter what changes around you, your mind remains steady, creative, and resilient. Finally, mastering the mental game requires identity shift. Lasting success cannot be built on willpower alone. It must be built on the identity you choose to embody. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, who quits, who falls short, your actions will eventually reflect that identity. But if you decide to see yourself as someone disciplined, resilient, and unshakable, your actions will naturally align with that vision. Mental mastery is about upgrading the way you see yourself, because once your identity changes, your behavior follows automatically. You no longer have to force success. You live it because it is part of who you are. This shift is the ultimate key to lasting success, because identities are enduring. Habits may falter, motivation may fluctuate, but identity holds steady. When you have mastered the mental game at the level of identity, success stops being something you chase and becomes something you attract.